This preview could have started so differently, as Mississippi State is up 3 scores in the fourth quarter, early in the fourth quarter. But Texas storms all the way back, scores 24 fourth quarter points, and they win in overtime 45-38. Stunning the home crowd of Mississippi State, crushing the home crowd of Mississippi State. And it was very fitting that as the game ended and people started to leave, the rain picked up. Just really fit
Agreed.
the mood.
Felt that.
Great comeback from Texas. Arch played some of his best football of the season, but an unreal collapse from Mississippi State at the same time. Sanders, your thoughts on the game as you were on the field running around with your camera?
I don't know. Literally, when I said earlier I didn't know if I was going to talk on the show, that was like 75% joking, but 25% sincere, because I don't know what to think about the game or what to say about the game, other than like every State fan is feeling like how much it hurts and it sucks, and trying to figure out like, well, what do you do going forward? Actually, one of our listeners texted me and he said, that was awful, like, where do you go from here? And I texted back, Fayetteville. Which, like, I told him, I was like, I'm mostly joking, or I'm partly joking, but mostly sincere in that there is nothing that we can do right now that is going to fix this. Firing Jeff Lebby is not going to make us play better throughout the rest of the season, I don't think. Maybe you get some sort of lucky, or like Virginia Tech resurgence where the team just plays better under an interim, but I don't expect that. Firing Jeff Lebby is not the move. Benching Blake Shapen for Kamario Taylor would be a mistake. I'm very excited to see Kamario Taylor play, but he came in and threw a pass that could have been an interception and shouldn't have been a touchdown, and we got lucky. And, like, you're going to tell me that he's going to be a better passer than Blake Shapen?
Strategic bounce, honestly.
Yeah.
He read
off the wall.
angle off the hand of the defender.
I'm very excited for the future of Kamario Taylor, but he's not going to win you more games than Blake Shapen. And to the people who are like, well, we're not going to win any games anyway, so like if you're going to lose, I'd rather lose with Kamario starting than Blake starting. I just disagree with that. There are still 4 games on the schedule that are winnable, and that's 4 out of 4 games. The Georgia game, what, you say 3?
Yeah.
Which one do you think is not winnable?
Georgia.
I disagree. I think it's winnable. It's at home.
I mean, every game's
as bad
winnable.
as our
Every
offensive
game's
line has
winnable
looked, their pass rush might be worse. Like, their pass rush is not good.
I mean, every game is winnable until the clock hits 0 at the end.
Yeah.
But I don't really know how I feel about that one being winnable.
Yeah. It just, yeah. I'm not going to, we'll do that when we get to our Mississippi State preview. But
honestly, my biggest thing is, like, for me, and I'm not a State fan, so I'm going to throw this out here, and then I'll let y'all keep going. The performance that the coaching staff put on in the fourth quarter, I don't trust this team to win a game until they break through and finally win a game. Like, I don't really care who they're playing in the SEC. It could be Kentucky rolling into town. And, like, I'm not going to have belief that you're going to go win a game until you go win the game. That's where I'm at.
I don't necessarily agree with that, but I'll get into that. That's the large point, or large part of my point. Continue,
what
Sanders.
in the fourth quarter convinced you that the coaching staff...
I'll get into that.
Okay.
Yeah. I think that this is just, we'll get into like the X's and O's of the game and how it all fell apart. I'm sure JP will hit that very well, and I'm excited for that.
Yeah,
but,
I've got a good list.
Yeah. I think that right now that State fans and are just kind of feel like it's hopeless, and I don't think it is. I think that eventually it's going to get better. I'm concerned. I don't want the State fans to fall into like a state of like complacency or feeling like they're just going to go through the motions for the rest of the season, which is where I'm kind of just like, well, like it's tough. I don't really know what else to say. Levy's not going to get fired this year. I don't think he should get fired this year, and you just got to kind of go, just keep going. I don't know. There's nothing like hopeful, I feel like, to take away from that game. JP, you might disagree. With that being said, can you get into your takeaways and your thoughts, and then also like the game breakdown?
I don't disagree with you feeling there's nothing hopeful to take away, but I'll get into that. So I was at the game, obviously, and I'm just going to go through mistakes that were made by Mississippi State. I've got them split into 2 categories. So there's 2 ways or 2 avenues at least to go down, which I think both have great validity. But to choke a lead like that, a 3-score lead like that, a lot of things have to happen. And it's not just when you start choking the lead. It's also before that as well. So I'll start with team mistakes. These are mistakes that players made, our team made, that I don't think impacts coaching or is not impacted by coaching. And I think you could fully peg on players let us down here. Blocked field goal in the first. Kyle Ferry's field goal gets blocked pretty much easily. That's 3 points off the board right there. 3rd and 6, post our turnover on downs, which I thought was a Levy mistake, but I'll get into that. We have the personal foul, which Jack can explain more because he watched the broadcast. For falling down was what I heard in our chat on the field goal, and they get the automatic first down. What was the explanation there?
I must have missed it because I don't know what you're talking about, to be honest.
Oh, okay.
Which
Was it third? You said it was falling. Who fell down?
Oh, I do.
On
I
the
do, 'cause
field goal
I
attempt.
was the one that literally said he just fell down.
Yeah.
So they called it a block below the waist.
Mm-hmm.
That wasn't 3rd and 6, was it?
It was fourth down
Fourth
because of
and-
the
fourth
field
down.
goal. But
Yeah.
fourth
Fourth
and
down.
six, yeah.
4th and 6.
They called an illegal block below the waist, and to me on the broadcast, I will say they never really gave us a close look at it, but it just kind of looks like the state player slips and just falls forward, and then because he's falling, he like kind of hits the Texas player low, and they called the flag.
Yeah.
But they didn't even point. The broadcast never pointed out who it was. Like, well, I think they called the number of who it was supposed to be on, but I couldn't tell if the guy falling was that number. So maybe it wasn't even that guy. But that was the only thing I saw on the play that could have even been like called as a block below the waist. But that penalty definitely hurt.
Yep. I pegged that on player, even if it was a bad call or whatever. That's on player, not on
I mean,
coaching.
you fall down and you do kind of hit the guy low. It's like that's not a block, but you. Okay.
They get the automatic first down. They go and score a touchdown off of that because of that. Post us turning it over on down. 2nd and goal from the 5, post Arch Manning's pick by Kelly Jones. We take a sack on 2nd and goal from the 5. Blake Shapen does. Puts us back. We have to kick a field goal. 3rd and 10. We're up 31-14. This is in the second half. We give a 62-yard deep shot to Ryan Wingo. Obviously, the deepest pass Arch through the entire night on a coverage bust. And they're inside, goal-to-go range very quickly on a 3rd and 10. 4th and 1. 38-21. We're up. 11 minutes to go. Arch overthrows a receiver after running for his life to the right. We don't have to touch Arch, but we do. Roughing the passer. It extends the drive. It extends the game. A lot of people feel this is the key moment in the game. That's what lost us the game. That's what continued to allow them to go on the run. There's a lot more moments. I don't necessarily disagree. Very critical moment. We would have had the ball in Texas territory. There's just no reason to hit Arch. He was already running for his life. He was never going to throw a pass accurately there. Roughing the passer, it extends the drive. Of course, Texas goes down and scores a touchdown. Now it's 38-28. We have the ball. This is the first of our 2 3-and-outs in critical moments. 2 straight sacks on 2nd and 3rd down. Those are not coaching. That's poor offensive line play. That maybe it's poor play calling, I guess. But that's just poor offensive line play because we had been getting so much through the air. We were going to pass the football anyway. 2 straight sacks, 2nd and 3rd down. Another team mistake. 38-31. Ethan Pulliam doesn't punt the ball out of bounds. You could argue maybe this is coaching that we should have told him. I'll get into more of this play in a second, which I thought fell on Levy, but it gives their special teams a chance. Of course, the rest is history. They score another touchdown on a punt return. 38 all. 1 second left on the clock. They've got the ball on the 1 yard line. We know they're tush pushing. We can't get any kind of push whatsoever. Arch just cleanly falls forward in a play where maybe we could have forced a safety. Maybe we could have forced a fumble. It doesn't even feel like we tried. We kind of gave up. We're just on to overtime at that point. That's team for me. In overtime, these are the last 2 team mistakes. Blake Shapen misses Brennan Thompson wide open on a slant. He probably would have scored. He misses behind him.
He would have scored.
He would have scored.
I was standing in the end zone. Yeah.
On the first snap of overtime, he misses behind him. Not as bad as Bo Nix missed behind to start the Broncos-Cowboys game today, but pretty far behind. Brendan Thompson, he misses. Maybe he didn't have a window there, but it's a miss regardless. 2nd and 10, we go deep to Thompson, miss. Pressured immediately on 3rd down. Our offensive line doesn't hold up, and he barely gets the throw out of his hand. But then the team mistakes here, 2 straight false starts at home in the most critical play of the game at that point, 4th and 10, 4th and 20, sack, fumble, ball game. Those are the team mistakes. Any comments before I get into Levy mistakes, which is about as long, if not longer?
No, I'll probably have comments at the end, but I mean, well, actually, I guess I do have comments. You mentioned the team kind of felt like they gave up on the push play. I agree, and it felt like in overtime they kind of gave up as well. Like
sure.
It wasn't really there.
I understand.
They felt shell-shocked at that point.
Yeah, as everyone in the stadium did.
100%.
These are the Levy mistakes, and these are for all the people that want to fire Levy. If you want to fire Levy, you use all of these plays against him, and I completely understand, but I'll get into a larger point post these mistakes. 7-7 in the first quarter. Texas's last 3 drives were 10 plays for 2 yards. The last 3 drives offensively were 10 plays for 2 yards. Levy, post the game, said, I liked what we had on 3rd down. We just didn't execute the blocking. We had handed the ball off to Devon Booth from the shotgun, didn't execute the blocking. He kind of lost a yard, gained a yard. It's in between. They go no tempo, or no huddle. We go tempo, run the same play again, he said. Stopped immediately on 4th down because obviously we're running tempo. We're just going to hand the ball off. That's been what Levy has done in those situations. That's what he's done for 2 years. You think Sark and that defense is not going to know we're just going to hand the ball off when we go tempo like that in a short yardage gain, where there's no wrinkle out of that. There's no throw it to a guy just out there on the flat when you have numbers advantage. We just hand the ball off. Stopped on 4th down. Texas gets the ball on our 37. Again, after the last 3 drives were 10 plays for 2 yards. They, of course, go down, make the field goal. We have the personal foul. They score a touchdown. You give an offense that had been struggling the entire day outside of the first drive, free 7 points essentially because of a coaching mistake, because it's the play that he called. 4th and 2 from the Texas 48. This is in the second half. We lead 24-14. For, again, no reason. The defense is cooking. Still, it's 24-14. We've only given up the 7 points on the touchdown that you gave up based off of your mistake. We are sacked on 4th and 2. Texas gets the ball in our territory. Texas doesn't score on that drive, but still, it's a huge momentum play. You could have pinned him deep inside the 10 with the way Ethan had been punting that entire day. Maybe you get the ball again from the same spot with 1st and 10. Another Levy mistake, 38-28. Our ball, a complete failure, which I highlighted it in our group chat, but we failed to burn 40 seconds of clock because we running our tempo at that point in the game. At that point in the game, I think you just slow it down and run clock. I think you just run the football. But no, we failed to do that. We go 3 and out. We failed to burn 40 seconds off the clock, which would have made a huge difference. 38-31. Again, we failed to burn 10 to 15 seconds of clock. We'd manage. I will give credit here to Levy. This is a credit to him. We managed to hit Brendan Thompson on the slant. It's 3rd and 1. Levy allows the play clock to go all the way down, and we call the timeout. Okay, it's 3rd and 1. Let's get our best play. He brings in Camario Taylor. We run quarterback sweep. We don't convert, but I'm fine with it because he ran what he thought was his best play in that moment. He allowed all the clock he could burn down. He called the timeout. Again, he allowed all the clock he could. He called the timeout, and he got it into his best play. Remember that. 38-31. This is post Camario's miss on 4th and 1. Levy is walking up to the ref. This is literally the play after that. Telling the punt team to wait. He's holding his hand out like this. Our long snapper never knows. Ethan Pulliam never knows. There's never any acknowledgement from them. I watched it firsthand. He is holding out, saying, okay, we're going to run the clock down because we had ran the football. Sark didn't call timeout. We can run more clock. He wants to call timeout. He clearly does. He's standing next to the ref. He doesn't. We snap the football. We punt it. It doesn't go out of bounds. The rest is history. 38 all. 3rd and 6, 38-38. We have 30 seconds left. Levy is walking up to the ref. 3rd and 6. Remember this. 3rd and 6. He wants to call timeout again. He doesn't. We're sacked. We don't get into our best play. 3rd and 6. 30 seconds left. Tie game. We're at midfield, essentially. After the teaching moment and the learning moment you just had last week where play calling mattered, you don't call timeout to get into your best play. We're sacked. Immediately following the sack, he calls timeout. Immediately following the sack. 13 seconds left. On 4th down from midfield. It continues. Immediately following the timeout. We bring the offense out on 4th and 14. Oh, we're going to try and draw them offside and call a timeout. You can't call 2 timeouts in a row. You can't call 2 timeouts in a row. Levy walks up to the ref as he's going to call a timeout. He has a conversation with the ref. The ref says, you can't call timeout. That's what I guess he would have said. We take a delay of game from midfield. Of course, forcing us to punt now. We can't punt it into the end zone. We can't really play the punting up the sideline game well. So we're probably going to have to punt the ball in the field, or we're going to have to punt it directly out of bounds. We punt it down to the 1. Sark makes a stupid decision for whatever reason and brings everybody up to rush the punter and doesn't have someone back there, which makes no sense at all.
You just have
no sense at all.
someone that's basically won you 2 games.
You
as a punt
cannot.
returner.
You cannot. Okay, this is a Sark mistake. You cannot tell me that just putting the 10 guys on the line and having 1 guy back would make less of a difference than having 11 guys up, 4 of them which are back as if we're going to fake a punt. What is Sark doing in that case? We down it at the 1, and of course, like I said, we don't get any push on the tush push. And this is when we get into overtime. These are nitpicky. These are mistakes. At this point in the game, I'm not ringing my cowbell because there's no flipping reason to. Because at this point, why did they deserve for me to ring the damn cowbell in overtime? I did not ring my cowbell for a single second because there's just no damn reason to because of what had just transpired. But this is nitpicky. We had been in this exact same scenario when we were at home last against Tennessee. We win the coin toss. The crowd would not like it if it happened, obviously, in that moment. But what if we decided side of the field first instead of picking?
Yeah.
Considering our stadium arrangement, considering that the student section is one side, and on the other side it's open air, not just open air. You have the Texas fan base pretty much only on that side of the field. That's where the Texas band is. So it's kind of nitpicky. But maybe what if we decided, we're going to play in front of our student section? The student section had caused a false start on 1st and goal from the 1-yard line already in that game in the second half. Texas scored a touchdown. Arch Manning threw a beautiful ball. But we had forced a false start from the 1-yard line because of how damn loud we were. And we had held them to a field goal down there on that side of the field. And I think just given, again, a learning opportunity, how the last home game had went, a loss in overtime in a game you feel like you should have won, that you had the lead in the 4th quarter of. And again, tie ball game with the ball, a chance to go take the lead and win the game. And given how that had went, why not go with the same philosophy that you have had since you got here, which is, what do we do every single coin toss that we win? We say we want the ball.
Yeah.
We receive.
Yeah.
Why do you not do that in overtime, considering how it went last time, considering how the defense went out there, and considering how demoralized they were on the tush push? We gave up a touchdown on the first play to Tennessee. We gave up a touchdown in 3 plays to Texas. It's nitpicky. I get it. But we want the ball. We're going to go score. That's how you play. That's been your philosophy. You're a gambler. Why do you not do that? Because if you choose side of the field and you choose student section, Texas is going to say, we want to play on defense because that's what everyone does.
It's the right thing to do.
It is
99% of the time.
It is the right thing to do. But you are different, and you clearly are, because you've made some bonehead decisions, turned out to be bonehead decisions in key moments in the game. Why would you not go with that philosophy, make Texas give us the ball, and go make the first statement, hopefully? Like, just go out there and score a touchdown, and now you get to play touchdown, up 45-38. Texas has to score a touchdown in front of your student section, the loudest part of the entire stadium. Instead, we don't. Texas scores a touchdown, and we have what transpires in our possession and overtime. Those are Levy mistakes. And I completely understand why people may want to fire him post those mistakes. I get it. I'm going to have this as my last peace offering to Jeff Levy. This can't happen again. This can't happen again in those ways again. You can't make those kinds of decisions again. You can't call the timeout to get to your best play one drive before and get Camario out there, and you have your guy, your superstar that you think is going to be, and you run your best play, and then the next time in the biggest mode of the game when the ball's at midfield, you don't call a timeout, and we get sacked.
Yeah.
That can't happen. What happened in the Florida game can't happen. You've now learned from overtime. Hopefully, maybe we do decide that we want to play in front of our student section going forward, because you should, because that's the loudest part of the damn stadium, and that's where all of our key plays happen, not on that south end. So I will offer this as my last peace offering. None of this can happen again. If it does, he's done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Personally.
I think I basically told you after, or maybe it was your mom at the tailgate after. That's kind of where I'm at. Of like, he's not gonna get fired unless he does this again down the stretch. Like if we keep losing games this way, he's gonna be gone, and that would be pretty. It'd be pretty remarkable for him to make that happen, considering where he was not 4 weeks ago in the eyes of the fan base. My reaction watching on the broadcast, and you get all you get different shots. It's a different experience being in the stadium. There's pros and cons to that. The biggest difference to me in this game, and even the Florida game and the Tennessee game, this was the first game, as they keep panning to Jeff Levy and panning to players, that it felt like Jeff Levy was unsure of himself and not his normal confident self, and it felt like he was in over his head. That's the vibe I got, and that is matched by how the team played and some of his decisions down the stretch.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at the spot where it's like, I'm not going to pick this team to win an SEC game until they prove me wrong. And I want them to prove me wrong. I know I'm not a State fan first, but I have a lot of State friends, and I root for State to win when they're not playing A&M, right?
Yeah. Or UVA.
And so that comes to the point of, okay, so Jeff Levy's in over his head in that game, right? But he is young, and so there's room for growth, but he has to grow quick.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And the leash for that, like you mentioned, is now so small because of what's happened these past couple weeks.
Yeah.
Because the guy I saw on the sidelines yesterday, in my opinion, is not a guy that can lead an SEC program to wins, consistent wins, and good things, and bowl victories, and rivalry wins in the Egg Bowl and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Maybe he learns and he rolls into Fayetteville next week, and it's a close game, and he's dynamite down the stretch, and I'll sing his praises then. Because I've already said it once. He's a young coach. It's not like he's set in his ways yet. But, man, it's a terrible look what happened yesterday.
Yeah, I agree with that sentiment. That's in large part how I feel as well. That his leash is really short, but he is young. He's a first-time head coach last year, and he did not have the players in front of him to go really compete in games last year. So there was no, like I said, post-Florida game, there was no way to tell how he would handle these kinds of situations because he never got the chance to be in those kinds of situations because he just never had the talent to do that.
Yeah.
He now does, and clearly in 3 of the 4 SEC games, and I'd argue 4, have been in opportunities to potentially win games and has not handled the situation well in all 4 of them. His players have let him down.
Yeah.
If we had better players, yes, I don't think any of those things would have happened, of course. But ultimately, like, even if you have the best players in your Ohio State, you still have to make decisions like that when it comes down to critical moments. And Ryan Day has had to make those decisions. Nick Saban has had to make those decisions. Dabo Swinney has had to make those decisions. And so if you were at the top level, even in the national championship and in the playoff, you have to make those decisions just as much as you do if you are down at the talent level that we have. Sadly, you don't get to take away. I want to reiterate, you don't get to take away any of the positives from yesterday, which I'm just going to list off all of the positives because there were a ton of positives, but sadly, they will never be remembered outside of this conversation right here ever again. Sam West had a really nice touchdown, number 87, the white tight end, was not found. Really pretty play design. We scored a touchdown in the first half. Shapen's Mahomes impression to
That was
Devon
insane.
Booth, his little flip to Devon Booth. Thankfully, flips it to Devon Booth because at that moment, get the ball in a playmaker's hand. He's faster than you. Shapen was already kind of deciding to run. He hits Devon Booth. The beautiful ball to Brennan Thompson for a touchdown in the corner in front of the student section. Camario's goofy touchdown, as Sanders mentioned, on another.
Was that not the one to Sam West?
No, that was the one to Seydu
Okay.
Traore, on a really pretty play design. We had basically ran Camario. We essentially had ran Camario every time he had been on the field, and we faked the run, leak out the tight end. Camario doesn't put enough touch on the ball. It gets tipped, but we score. Touchdown's a touchdown. Doesn't matter how it happened. Seydu Traore, his awesome game. He was incredible, 6 for 60 yards and 2 touchdowns or a touchdown. Shapen threw for 381 yards against Texas. I don't care how it happened, but I think it should be impacted or it should be thought about positively how it happened. Sure. You know what his longest completion downfield was yesterday?
39 yards.
Jack?
I saw it in your notes. So
Okay. It's 23 yards. For an offense and Shapen that had been so predicated on hitting Brennan Thompson or Anthony Evans deep down the field, 23 yards was the longest completion yesterday. And he threw for 381 yards. Now, of course, he had a few long after the catch, but for the most part, the longest after the catch was Devon Booth's touchdown. Every other one was 25 to 30 yards at most. So Shapen threw for 381 against that Texas defense. Defensively, Kelly Jones was excellent. He had the pick, of course, but he had a couple pass deflections. He has the pass interference in the end zone, but it's 1st and goal from the 1. Like, what are you going to do? You might as well have pass interference. The defense had 5 sacks. Our ability to tackle one-on-one in space all game, for the most part, was amazing. We barely missed really any tackles out there in space, had a bunch of huge plays. The Texas could have got a lot more yards, but we tackle well in space. Stopping the screen game that Texas is predicated on for the most part, except for really 2 plays. The first play of the game, and then another screen pass that went for about 20 yards later in the game. Malik Sila had 3 TFLs. He was amazing. Former Aggie, as Jack mentions to the camera. Jerron Manning had 8 solo tackles as a corner. I mean, that's really incredible. And then special teams-wise, Ethan Pulliam was averaging 50 yards per punt across 6 punts in the game. He was changing the field position with how far he was punting the damn ball, and it was not allowing Texas to have very easy possessions. He puts 2 inside the 20, but sadly, you won't remember any of what I just said because no one will.
Sure.
It doesn't matter because you lost. Prior to their 31-point run, Texas had, 31 points in the 4th quarter and overtime. Texas had 5 3-and-outs, just 4 drives over 10 yards, and 14 points. Our defense, sadly, only gave up 24 points, I would argue. They got spotted. Texas got spotted 4 because of our penalty on the field goal, 3 because of Jeff Lebby going for it in the first half, 7 from the punt return, and I don't put the 7 against the defense that happened in overtime against them because the drive started from the 25-yard line. So the defense only gave up 24 points, which I think if we had said that post the game, we would have felt Texas had good odds.
Yeah.
Just insane.
Yeah.
No other way to put it. I think for the Texas side, maybe you start to think, you'll start to think, okay, Arch just finally kind of got it going. They, in their scoring drives, they picked us apart when we were in one-on-one coverage specifically. Their receivers just won one-on-one battles the entire fourth quarter, and Arch was putting good footballs. He's putting the ball in play and giving his receivers a chance, and we were able to cover them one-on-one, which I don't feel like we ever felt like we were going to. We had great moments in the first half, but once you get in the fourth quarter, everyone's tired at that point. That's when covering those receivers is that much harder, a la Jordan Tyson in the Arizona State game, and Brazell in the Tennessee game when Joey Aguilar converts the big fourth down. So that wasn't surprising to me, but I think for Texas, you could very easily, and they will, spin it as Arch got going, our offense got going, and a win is a win is a win.
Yeah.
It keeps you all right there in the picture. That's only one SEC loss still.
Sure.
Playoff dreams are still alive, and now the Georgia game is what you look to post the Vanderbilt game. They host Vanderbilt next week, and then they'll have the Georgia game. These next 3 weeks are right there in front of Texas.
Sure.
If they can upset, which I need. Let's all guess the spread before I look at the spread. What do you think? You know it. What do you think the spread is? Vanderbilt at Texas next week.
Texas minus 5.5.
Texas minus 2.5.
Texas minus 3.5
Okay.
is what it opened as.
That's incredible.
It could have, since it was early, the line could have easily already moved, but it opened at Texas minus 3.5.
Yeah.
Arch played well. It does now come to, I wonder what his health situation is going to be
Sure.
as he with the concussion.
Is that confirmed? Because watching it was pretty clearly concussion. The way he got hit,
he was woozy. He didn't. It was not great. I do want to shout out real quick Matthew Caldwell for coming in and throwing that dime on the fade. That's big time stuff. And I think Texas, talking about a win is win is win. They've also used this to promote and kind of build on we maybe aren't as. They're not going to say they're not as good as last year's team, but the culture and the togetherness of this team is still the same, and we have that going for us.
Yep.
Big win from them in that point, but also horns down as always.
Yeah, I think the Arch part they got going passing wise, they did not run the football well at all. Their running backs had 68 yards on 21 carries, averaging about 3 a pop. So C.J. Baxter returning and still having Quintrevion Wisner did not matter whatsoever in the game. So Kirk Herbstreit, you were wrong. We were able to stop the run. He said on game day as they were picking the game that Mississippi State cannot stop the run. That's what he said, direct quote. So Texas should just hand the ball off, and that was not the way the game went whatsoever. It's a really, 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 really tough loss. But it continues to fit, the narrative we are Mississippi State. It fits the narrative of how Mississippi State was that.
Yeah.
For that to even, for the people still to be able to say post that when we had what Sanders said, a 98.7% chance to win that game.
Something like that, yeah.
Oh, that was still very Mississippi State-like. It fits that narrative. It's a unbelievably brutal loss I would argue, for recruiting.
Yep.
It's an unbelievably brutal loss. Like I said in the preview, this is probably your best chance ever to beat Texas. It's probably your best chance ever to beat that logo, to beat Steve Sarkisian, to beat that team, and you missed the opportunity. And so that, had you had won, how crazy, again, would it have been to say that this is like the Virginia thing? Jeff Lebby's first SEC win is going to be against Steve Sarkisian in Texas.
Yep.
Imagine if you had said that when we hired Jeff Lebby.
Yeah.
You think, oh, he's the guy, give him a lifetime contract. And sadly, you don't get to say that going forward. So that is again, another brutal hit. It hurts of, obviously, like I said, recruiting because of that, because you could say that we beat Texas. And I'll tell you, like, a recruit I think is actually going to take big impact from that, because they don't actually, from the recruiting visits that I've seen so far here at State, and maybe it's just the guys that were recruiting, when I see them then come into the student section, they do not give a crap about the football game. And so it makes me think way less of them as ball knowers. Yeah. And like I think I had like 6 or 7. Frederick! So close. Can we just
Brutal.
got to restart the show.
Whole segment. Back it up.
I think I had 6 or 8 recruits that were behind me right there in the student section. I wasn't down there in the lower bowl, and they were all on their phones for the entire fourth quarter. Like, I don't think they ever looked up, even with what was happening in front of us.
Yeah.
So it may not hurt our recruiting really whatsoever, but I'd say my largest point out of that is being able to say that we beat Texas is going to matter to them, because like what Nate Bargatze said on College Game Day, the last time they looked at a football screen, Texas was the number 1 team in the country.
Yeah.
And so it would matter a ton.
Sure.
But you missed that opportunity as well. But I'll close with what I kind of promised in our chat earlier. This is the, I guess, copium. You could maybe classify it as.
I think it's copium.
Hopium. Jack completely disagrees with me, but I think that everything is still in front of us, and that we are still a live football team, and we still want that win so badly that I think we're going to get it eventually at some point. I also believe in the idea that God is going to give us a win. Because I don't think that what has transpired over the past month.
That makes me think of the meme where it's like, God gives his toughest battles to his strongest warriors.
Agreed,
and it's like, how are you still alive?
Has been posted by a State fan numerous times.
Sure.
Levy's Burners posted that at least 10 times.
I gotta go read Levy's Burner, man.
I feel that...
Don't. He's calling for Blake Chapin's job.
Yeah,
after
it's not
throwing
worth
for
it.
380 and 4 touchdowns.
Never mind.
I still feel that we are like due for a win, I guess, in that case. And I would say my boldest take right now is that we're going to be already bowl eligible come the Egg Bowl.
Oh my!
Okay. At least you
I feel that way.
prefaced it by saying it's your boldest take.
I think we're going to win next week at
Okay.
Arkansas, because, like we said, I think Arkansas is a dead team. I don't think we're a dead team.
Sure.
Arkansas is favored by 3.5 in that game. And that'll be the lowest spread in SEC play we've had so far. And I think we'll win that game at Arkansas next week. And then we will play at Missouri.
No,
Sure.
play Georgia.
We'll
and
play
then at
Georgia. And I think we can be competitive.
Yeah.
I really do think we can be competitive in that Georgia game, just given how Georgia's played defensively. Now, Kirby still has that game of we are Georgia, but I
Yeah.
don't think the level of talent is there for him to pull that
That'd
game
be
against
a weird
us.
spot. More likely you see it against Texas.
Yeah, or even Florida.
Yeah.
Maybe next week if Florida kind of wants to like respond with an interim head coach. Yeah, but I think the Texas game is much more likely for that. So I think we'll be competitive in that game. Their defense has not been great, so I think we'll score enough. And it may look exactly like the Tennessee game and Texas game, where we're scoring really well. Our defense makes a few plays here and there. I think we'll be competitive in that game. I won't predict us to win, because for me, Georgia, I think, is still the best team in the SEC. And they're still my SEC champion pick. And then I think we'll be really competitive in the Missouri game. We should be. Bo Perbula, of course, broke or dislocated his ankle.
Just a sprain.
Jeez, no way.
That's what came out today. He
That
will
was,
not need surgery. But even still, the last is like there's still just only a chance that he plays in the regular season. He won't be back by that game.
Their backup quarterback actually played well, and we'll talk about that game in a little bit.
Yeah.
But I do think maybe we can be more competitive in that game. Ahmad Hardy scares me, but we've been good in the run game for the
Very
most
good,
part.
yeah. It's not like he's been dicing people up on the ground these
Jaden
days.
Baugh and the second half of the Arizona State game are really the only areas or the spots at least where we've struggled stopping the run. And so maybe we're really competitive in that game. So I think we'll get 2 of the next 3. And I do think we'll be bowl eligible come the Egg Bowl. And like I also said yesterday, we might score 70 in the Egg Bowl, but T-Sun might score 77.
Sure.
But anything can happen in the Egg Bowl, as all Egg Bowl historians know.
Yeah. There's a reason I didn't have that as a not winnable game.
So I think we're going to be 6-5.
I disagree, but
Come
okay.
Thanksgiving week, and there will be extreme buzz around the Egg Bowl. And then I think the Egg Bowl for me is even if we lose the next 3 games, which is how the Egg Bowl works, the Egg Bowl is, I think, the game that kind of could decide Levy's fate next year.
Yeah.
Winning that game, I think, secures him through next year, unless, of course, he went 0-8 in SEC play once again, which I wouldn't expect. I think we might
so it buys him all of next year, and then the year, like he gets to the year after that. Is that
I think so.
really?
Because Egg Bowl
Egg Bowl matters
success
so much.
hasn't been there.
I think
here.
here's how I see our futures, and this is one of the things I want to talk about. I think I texted Tucker about it. I see it's a sucky situation. I think even if Levy loses out, he will be here next year. And I think the unfortunate part is like it's gonna be like we're gonna go into that season knowing it's not gonna be a good season. I don't think the boosters are gonna back him after going 0-16. I don't think the recruits are going to be invested in a coach that goes 0-16. And so I think it's going to be almost like a burner year where it's just like the fans are going to be like, there's not going to be hype. There was energy coming into this year. I don't think there's going to be energy going into a year where we went 2-10 and then 4-8. And so I think that he's going to be set up for failure in year 3 and then he'll be out. That's if he loses out this year. If he can get to a bowl game, I think that flips on its head. If he can win a game or 2, having shown that I think it would be better for him to win games like games he just lost, as opposed to you go into Arkansas and Taylor Green throws a couple picks and you win like 38-14 or 38-21.
I would take 38-21 or anything.
People will take anything at this point.
But I'm saying
I think you're more so saying I would agree with you if you're saying like we won like how we did last time we won at Fayetteville, where it was 10-7 and offense wasn't cooking, and it was just such an ugly watch.
I'm more so saying I think it would help for fans to see him learn to manage a close game. So if you go into Arkansas and blow them out, that's great. Fans are excited. But maybe the fans who are writing like $2.5 million checks are gonna think twice and be like, yeah, but we still haven't seen you manage a game that matters when it matters. Sure, we've seen you lose 3 of them, and now we've seen you blow out Arkansas in Fayetteville when they don't when they don't care. But we haven't seen you win a game that matters when it matters. That's why I say that I don't like. Yeah,
I just think they want to win at this point.
Yeah,